Session 38 Recap. The Silent Steps. As told by Dar the Sellsword. You know, not every day ends with your lungs full of ice wind and your ears ringing from monk ghosts trying to kill you. But that's how my week's been. I had just gotten back from a doomed for dumb quest with a gaggle of reckless greenhorns. Thought they could intimidate a bronze dragon. I told them, that dragon knew me from the old days. Lucky for us all, it did. It spared their lives, probably just to avoid the embarrassment of vaporizing fools in front of me. So I get back, half frozen and pissed off, and who do I see heading out? Barog, Chow, Fritz, Larry, and that lovable meat shield. Bum, off to chase some ghost story about monks in the peaks of Muros. I figured I'd trail behind them, maybe watch them fall off a cliff or something. Turns out, they almost did. The climb. The mountain air was razor cold, thin enough to bite the inside of your throat. The group began their ascent up the eastern face of the Muros Range, scaling frozen rock and ledges slick with wind-polished frost. It was the kind of place you don't talk, you whisper, or the wind might take your words and throw you off the edge. About halfway up, the trail turned nasty. I mean vertical. That's when they spotted a dark crack in the cliff. A cave, shelter, or a grave. The cave and the worm. They slipped inside for cover and quickly found it wasn't some cozy shepherd's den. It opened up into a massive subterranean cavern, wide enough to hold a town square. The center of it was dominated by something unnatural, an ancient petrified purple worm, long dead and still terrifying. Like a god had tried to bury it in stone and failed halfway through. Its mouth was frozen mid-scream. Its eyes were hollow. If it ever moved again, we were all dead. The walls were webbed with thick bone-white silk. And then we saw it, a mammoth spider, the size of a manor house, clinging silently to the far wall. It didn't move, didn't blink, just watched. That kind of stillness is older than fear. Thankfully, the group didn't test their luck. They backed away, slow and smart. Wise move. They camped by the cave entrance, taking turns watching the wind scream past the mouth. The spider never came closer, probably waiting for us to make noise. The sealed monastery. At first light, they climbed the rest of the way to the summit. That's where they saw it. The Temple of the Silent Step, carved into the rock itself, partially buried under a rock slide. It looked like lightning had struck the cliff, sending debris down to seal the ancient doors. The iron gates were melted shut, fused by the same divine or magical lightning. It took Barog's full strength to crack it open. He slammed into it again and again, until the old seal gave way with a metallic shriek that echoed down the wind. Inside, the air was stale, not dusty, just held still, like the temple had been holding its breath for centuries. The dead spider and the silver horde. In the main chamber, the group found a colossal dead spider, curled in upon itself atop a pile of silver coins. The thing must have been the mate to the one we saw in the cave below, or its predator. Fritz, ever the arcane hoarder, dove straight into the silver like a child in snow. I half expected him to drown in it. That's when the wind changed. The air elemental guardian. A sudden gust, sharp and unnatural, tore through the chamber. It wasn't air. It was a force. A guardian elemental, swirling like a silent storm. It struck with waves of invisible pressure, hurling the party like dolls. Laurie got slammed into a pillar. Barog held his ground like a wall. Fritz nearly lost his footing entirely, but somehow kept shoveling coins midair. The battle was chaos, blasts of force, stones cracking, everyone shouting over wind that wouldn't carry their voices. The elemental would vanish, then reappear behind them, striking without warning. Eventually, Bum Bum coordinated a perfect pincer strike, one stunning from the front, the other smashing from behind, and the elemental dispersed into a whisper. The relic and the final guardian. After the fight, Laurie discovered a hidden panel behind the altar, sealed beneath layers of faded scripture. Inside, monk relics, including the legendary stone prayer bead strand. But as soon as she lifted it, the air stilled, then twisted. The last master appeared, a spectral monk, eyes glowing with moonlight, fists wrapped in spiritual silence. He moved like smoke, faster than thought, his attacks dealing necrotic damage with every blow. His punches cracked bone and drained life in equal measure. It was a brutal, drawn-out duel. Chal, trained in monastic form, was his focus. The master seemed offended by her technique, curious but judgmental. Bum Bum tried to engage but was thrown back by forceful blows that bypassed armor. Larry used radiant bursts to keep everyone standing. Fritz unleashed scrolls and flame, keeping distance but whittling him down. The fight ended when Chal matched his movement in perfect rhythm, step for step, while Barog struck from behind with the force of a landslide. The last master bowed as he faded, dissolving into strands of starlight and wind. Return and closure. The group descended slowly, relic in hand. No more wind, no more spiders, just silence. Back in Old Arua, they returned the stone prayer bead strand to Marda, who recognized it instantly. A piece of history restored. Though I noticed Chal looking at it like something lost had reached out to her. And that's the tale. Frozen cliffs, sleeping giants, silent wars. I've seen worse, but not often.